Dear students, I welcome you to learn the second lesson in social science, history, the extension of British rule in India. This lesson will be taught in two parts, and today I am before you to teach the first part of the extension of British rule in India. Before we go to the lesson, let me ask you few questions. Hope you are ready. These questions are related to the first lesson, the advent of Europeans to India. The question is, locate the main trading center of British in the western coast of India. Can you locate? It's very easy. Yes, you are correct. You have already located. The correct answer is Mumbai or Bombay. Previously, the present Mumbai was previously called Bombay. So, this Bombay was the main trading center of British on the western coast of India. Now, I have one more question for you. Locate the place where the British had obtained Diwani rights in India. Will you locate on this map? Yes? Correct. It is Bengal. British had secured Diwani rights over Bengal. In Bengal, British had secured Diwani rights. You know very well what is Diwani rights? Trading license given to the British. So, once they had paid it to the Mughal Empire and they had obtained the trading license in Bengal. So, British had secured Diwani rights over Bengal. Next, one more question for you before I take you to the second lesson. Who gave free trade license to the British in Bengal? Come on, I have given you four options: Shah Alam II, Farooq Shiar, Siraj-ud-Dawla, Mir Zafar. Among these, who gave free trade license to British? Yes, let us answer it. Is it Shah Alam II? Is it Siraj-ud-Dawla or Farooq Shiar or Mir Zafar? Who gave free trade license to the British in Bengal? Let us see. So, the correct answer is Shah Alam II was not the person, he was the Mughal emperor, right? He did not give free trade license to the British. Then who else? Is it Mir Zafar? No, he was the Nawab of Bengal. Then Siraj-ud-Dawla was also Nawab of Bengal. Then the correct answer is Farooq Shiar. Farooq Shiar gave free trade license to the British in Bengal. Dear students, you have answered perfectly. Your answer is correct. It was Farooq Shiar who gave free trade license to British in Bengal. In this unit, lesson number 2, the extension of British rule in India, you are going to learn Anglo-Maratha Wars, the Subsidiary Alliance, Anglo-Sikh Wars and the doctrine of lapse. All these are the subtopics you are going to learn in this chapter. As I said in the introduction, this lesson will be taught in two parts, and today you are going to learn the First Anglo-Maratha War and also Subsidiary Alliance. The remaining concepts, I mean the Second Anglo-Maratha War, the Third Anglo-Maratha War, Anglo-Sikh Wars and the doctrine of lapse, everything you study in the second part of this lesson. Hope you have understood this. Now, let us go to the next one. In this part of the lesson, you learn about the First Anglo-Maratha War and also the policy of Subsidiary Alliance. Let us know about this. Through Carnatic Wars, the English had made other European traders not to contest with them, not to challenge with them in India. That means, in the first three Carnatic Wars, that is, the first Carnatic War took place in the year 1746 to 48, and in the second Carnatic War 1749 to 54, and the third Carnatic War, it took place in the year 1756 and continued up to 1763. In these three wars, they subdued French. They defeated French completely. French were restricted to Pondicherry, Mahe, Chandranagar, Karaikal and Masulipatnam. So, entire India came under the control of British. That is why I told you, through Carnatic Wars, they made other European traders not to challenge them in India. British did not have any competitors to trade in India and also for their expansionism here. English gained complete political control over Bengal through the battles of Plassey and Buxar that you have studied in the first lesson. Therefore, in the introduction itself, I try to remind you about those concepts. That is why in the introduction, I asked you few questions and you are able to answer, correct. So, through the battle of Plassey, they defeated Siraj-ud-Dowla, and through the battle of Buxar, they defeated Mir Qasim as well as they made Mir Zafar and his son as puppet in their hands. Therefore, they gained complete control over Bengal. British wanted to expand their trading network even in South India. They wanted to expand their influence even in South India, but it was difficult in the initial days. It was not so easy for them. Why? Because since the Marathas and Mysore states were dominant in southern and western parts of India, the hold of British was restricted to Bengal and Bombay regions only. It was not easy for British to expand soon after the battle of Plassey and the battle of Buxar. It took them several years to expand their network even in South India. Here you have the Maratha expansion and also the Peshwas. Peshwa Madhavarao first had complete control. He was very capable Peshwa, and even in south it was Hyder Ali and Tippu Sultan of Mysore were very strong and restricted these foreigners to expand their network initially. Hyder Ali and Tippu Sultans of Mysore along with Peshwas of Maratha region were the only impediments in the path of the expansion of British. British could not expand their empire so easily. It was mainly because of Hyder Ali as well as Tippu Sultan. So, here you have Hyder Ali and Tippu Sultan who restricted the expansion of British in south. Likewise, Maratha Peshwa Madhavarao first was very dominant and powerful. He restricted the British from expanding their network in Maratha region. This is what we have learnt so far. Let us continue. In addition to this, in the northwest part of India, Sikhs were also prominent. Raja Ranjit Singh was very prominent ruler. The other dominant rulers were Sikh in the northwestern region of India. Ranjit Singh, who emerged in the latter part of the 19th century, was a formidable opponent to the British in India. He was successful in organizing the Sikh, that is why he was called the Lion of Punjab. Raja Ranjit Singh waged war against British, and till 1809 he had not allowed British to expand in Sikh kingdom. The British also waged many number of wars repeatedly, one after the other, from the mid of 18th century to the mid of 19th century to extend their empire in India. You know very well, right from the Carnatic Wars till Anglo-Sikh Wars, they waged many number of wars like Carnatic Wars, Anglo-Mysore Wars, Anglo-Sikh Wars. Along with these, they also introduced certain cunning policies. Through the cunning policies like subsidiary alliance, the doctrine of lapse and divide and rule policy, they expanded their kingdom day by day, year by year. And by 1830, almost all the places directly or indirectly came under the influence of British network in India. Apart from this, they also annexed various kingdoms with the cunning policies like subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse. In this chapter, in the part 1, you study about subsidiary alliance, and in the part 2 of the same lesson, you study about the doctrine of lapse and their impact. During this period, The British waged 3 Anglo-Maratha Wars and 4 Anglo-Mysore Wars and also 2 Anglo-Sikh Wars. These wars helped British to expand further. So, let us learn the Anglo-Maratha Wars. The First Anglo-Maratha War started in the year 1775 and ended in the year 1782. The Second Anglo-Maratha War, it started in 1803 and ended in 1805. And the Third Anglo-Maratha War, it was started in the year 1817 and ended in 1818. So, these are the 3 Anglo-Maratha Wars which made British very strong, and they took entire Maratha region under their control. They made Peshwas to accept the defeat. They took the advantage of the disunity of Maratha family and they made Peshwas as their subordinates. Now, before I take you to the First Anglo-Maratha War, let me teach you about the family tree of Peshwas. Dear students, in the 9th standard, you have already studied about Marathas. Grandson of Shivaji Maharaj, Sahu Maharaj had appointed a Peshwa in the year 1720. He was none other than Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath. After Balaji Vishwanath, his son Bajirao first became the Peshwa. This Bajirao first had 2 sons. They were none other than Peshwa Balaji Bajirao and then Raghunath Rao. So, Balaji Bajirao was the elder son of Bajirao first. So, Balaji Bajirao became the Peshwa. After Balaji Bajirao, his son Madhavrao first became the Peshwa. Since Madhavrao first did not have male child, his brother Narayan Rao came to power. That means Narayan Rao became the Peshwa. Who was Narayan Rao? Narayan Rao was the brother of Madhava Rao. That means for the first time the chain of Peshwahood from father to son is broken here. As Madhava Rao first did not have a son, his brother Narayana Rao became the Peshwa. This was questioned by Raghunath Rao and he got murdered Narayana Rao and he tried to become Peshwa. Meanwhile, the Maratha leaders under the leadership of Nana Fadnavis, they declared Madhava Rao II as the Peshwa, and this led to the First Anglo-Maratha War, and British interfered here. With the interference of British and also with the Treaty of Salbai, Madhava Rao II only was considered as the Peshwa. Finally, and the last Peshwa was none other than Bajirao II. This Bajirao II was none other than son of Raghunath Rao. So, this is what the family tree of Peshwas. It began with Balaji Vishwanath and ended with Bajirao II. Now, the same I show you in the family tree of Peshwas. So, first of all Peshwa Balaji Vishwanath, then Peshwa Bajirao first, afterwards it was Peshwa Balaji Bajirao, Peshwa Madhava Rao first and then Peshwa Narayan Rao. Hope you have understood the family tree of these Peshwas. This will help you to understand the First Anglo-Maratha War very clearly. That is why I explained the family tree of Peshwas. Now, let us discuss the First Anglo-Maratha War. The First Anglo-Maratha War, it started in the year 1775 and ended in the year 1782. The Marathas instilled Shah Alam II back on the throne of Mughal Empire in Delhi. That means, after the battle of Buxar, the name of Shah Alam II had come down. These Marathas empowered Shah Alam II and again reinstalled him with all the powers on the throne of Delhi. For this purpose, Shah Alam earlier was under the care of British after his defeat in the battle of Buxar. As a token of gratitude, Shah Alam II gave 2 places to Marathas. Which were those 2 places? It was Kora and Allahabad. Kora and Allahabad were given to Marathas, but actually these places earlier he had given it to British. Since these places Kora and Allahabad were given to Marathas, the enmity grew between Marathas and the British. So, this is one of the reasons for the First Anglo-Maratha War, and here I am showing you Kora, Allahabad in this map. The death of Maratha strongman Peshwa Madhavarao major setback to the Marathas. Though his brother Narayan Rao came to power, he was murdered by his uncle Raghunatha Rao, who was also called Raghoba. The death of Peshwa Madhavarao first was a major setback. This was the reason for the First Anglo-Maratha War. But all the Maratha leaders under the leadership of Nana Fadnavis started opposing Raghunatha Rao. Here you have Raghunatha Rao, Nana Fadnavis and Madhavarao II. Madhavarao II was the son of Narayana Rao. Nana Fadnavis was the leader of Maratha Confederacy. They opposed Raghunatha Rao as he had murdered Narayana Rao. None of the leaders of Maratha Confederacy were ready to accept Raghunatha Rao as the Peshwa. Therefore, Raghunatha Rao went to Bombay and he sought the support of British. He signed an agreement with the British. With the support of British, he declared war against Maratha families. All the Maratha leaders appointed the son of Narayana Rao, Madhavarao II as the Peshwa, faced Raghunatha Rao and English in the First Anglo-Maratha War. This is called the First Anglo-Maratha War. This First Anglo-Maratha War was started in the year 1775 and ended in 1782. The Maratha Federation brought Madhavarao II of Narayana Rao to the post of Peshwa. Upset with this development, Raghoba approached the British for support, as I explained just now. So, British Wellesley agreed to support Raghunatha Rao. Nana Fadnavis led the Maratha army and British Wellesley led the British army. So, this is called the First Anglo-Maratha War. The British thought of exploiting this situation in their favor. As a result, the Maratha Federation was unable to sustain the war with the British. Finally, British won the war in favor of Raghunatha Rao and the war ended with the Treaty of Salbai in the year 1782. As per the Treaty of Salbai, Madhavarao II was named as Peshwa, Raghunatha Rao was given pension and British got certain places in the coastal regions of Maharashtra. So, in this way the Maratha families which had disputes invited British unnecessarily and gave certain marketplaces to British. In this way, the First Anglo-Maratha War benefited the British rather than any of the Maratha factions. Madhavarao II became the Peshwa and Raghunatha Rao got the pension, and it was easy for British to enter into the politics of Maratha family. Dear students, now let us understand the policy of subsidiary alliance. What is subsidiary alliance? Who introduced subsidiary alliance? When was it introduced? Who all accepted this policy of subsidiary alliance? How this policy of subsidiary alliance was a cunning policy of British for their expansion. In addition to that, which all the native kingdoms signed for the policy of subsidiary alliance. Everything you study in this chapter. First of all, subsidiary alliance was introduced by Wellesley. Governor General Wellesley brought this policy into effect in the year 1798. Why did he bring this? In order to bring the Indian states under his control, he introduced subsidiary alliance. This subsidiary alliance was actually military protection agreement between the native states and the British East India Company. The Indian state as well as the British East India Company were signing for a pact, and this pact was nothing but military protection agreement, and this is called subsidiary alliance. Now, let us see the terms and conditions of subsidiary alliance. The first term of subsidiary alliance is the Indian king had to keep the British army in his kingdom. Not only just keeping the army, he had to maintain its expenses. That means, the concerned state had to bear the expenses of the army and the wages of soldiers too, and also had to give certain revenue lands to the British East India Company. In addition to this, the third point I tell you, the king had to have a British resident in his court. British were appointing a resident to such courts, and he had all the power to interfere in the field of administration of the native ruler. The king could not appoint any other European without the permission of the British. That means, they were taking away the autonomous power of the ruler. This is nothing but slavery. That is why Tipu Sultan, the Tiger of Mysore, refused to accept the subsidiary alliance. Till last breath, Tipu did not accept the slavery, because acceptance of subsidiary alliance was nothing but the acceptance of slavery of British. In order to enter any agreement or pact with any Indian government or native states, the permission of the Governor General was mandatory. It was compulsory for the native ruler to obtain prior permission of the British before signing any pact. In addition to that, in return of all these services, the company would offer protection to the state from any internal or external aggression. The king had to maintain the army of the British, he had to give certain revenue lands and had to maintain the expenses of the British soldiers. In addition to that, he had to allow the officer, resident officer, to stay in his state, and also he would lose all the independence of taking decisions independently in the external matters. These were the terms of subsidiary alliance. Nizam of Hyderabad was the first ruler to accept this subsidiary alliance. The state of Hyderabad was the first state to enter this agreement. Afterwards, Mysore, Awadh, Tanjavur and Marathas of Poona, Berar, Gwalior and many others entered this agreement. Dear students, now I show you the places where British enforced the cunning policy, the subsidiary alliance. First of all, see here, the states that came under the policy of subsidiary alliance: number 1, Hyderabad; number 2, the state of Mysore; number 3, the Marathas; and the number 4, the Sikh kingdom. So, on this map you can see here, first of all Hyderabad, secondly the state of Mysore, the third one Peshwas of Maratha kingdom, and in addition to that it was Sikh kingdom, right. Raja Ranjit Singh of Punjab and even Bajirao II, the Peshwa of Poona, and Nizam of Hyderabad, and also Krishnaraja Wadiyar III accepted subsidiary alliance. Likewise, Awadh, Tanjavur, Arcot of Carnatic, Gwalior, the rulers of all these states accepted subsidiary alliance. Now, let us locate them on the map. First of all, the ruler of Awadh, ruler of Tanjavur, likewise the ruler of Arcot, ruler of Gwalior, all these signed for the policy of subsidiary alliance. Dear students, hope you have very well understood all these concepts. Now, it is the time for recapitulation. What all we learnt in this unit? In this part 1 of second lesson, the extension of British rule, you learnt about Anglo-Maratha Wars and also you learnt about the subsidiary alliance. In the Anglo-Maratha Wars, you learnt only the First Anglo-Maratha War. This First Anglo-Maratha War ended with the Treaty of Salbai, and Madhavarao II was named as the Peshwa, Raghoba got pension and British got few places. In addition to this, the subsidiary alliance, Governor General Wellesley introduced subsidiary alliance in 1798 and Nizam of Hyderabad was the first person to accept the subsidiary alliance, and also you located all the other places which came under the cunning policy of British, the subsidiary alliance. Now, it is the time for me to give you some assignment, that is homework. Will you do all these assignments? Yes, this is given in your textbook page number 16 and these are fill in the blanks related to the content which I taught you today. At the end of the First Anglo-Maratha War, dash agreement was entered between Marathas and British. So, just now I repeated the same in the recapitulation too, you need to answer it. The subsidiary alliance system was implemented by dash. So, these two fill in the blanks you need to answer. In addition to that, few more question answers I would like to give you. Number 1, explain the reasons for the First Anglo-Maratha War. What were the conditions under subsidiary alliance? You need to explain. Explain the Third Anglo-Maratha War. Dear students, hope you have very well understood this first part of the second lesson. The remaining concepts I will teach you in the next class. Thank you.